Okay.
Ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, my name is Mike Barber. I was in high school from 1966, from September of 1966 to May of 1970.
Okay. What activities were you involved in while at NHS?
Well, the clubs I was in was Key Club, and I was secretary of the Key Club. And I played a lot of sports. I played football, basketball, baseball, and track during those years, and just involved with any activities that the school provided. I was involved with. Played in football. I was captain, one of the tri-captains of the football team, and during my 4 years, it was the first 4 years that Drake Stadium was established.
Oh, really? That's cool. So I guess it was bittersweet when they tore it down.
Well, they just renovated it, I call it,
Renovated.
because they had played at Pickett Field in Newnan, which was more in the center of town, and this was the new facility that they had put together, and that was Coach Max Bass's inaugural season was 1966, and that was my freshman year.
Okay. While at NHS, do you recall any teachers that made a positive impact on your life?
Some of the ones, Richard Smith, who was Key Club advisor, and it used, I think her name now is Barbara Landreth.
Mm-hmm.
She was a teacher. My freshman year, I had her for English, so it kind of goes back to show you the years that she's been involved in Union High School, but she's one that I have known throughout those years in one capacity or another. And of course, in playing sports, Coach Bass, who was the coach for the football team for the first 4 years, or the 4 years I was here.
Did NHS provide any opportunities that affected you in later life?
Well, it gave opportunity to be involved in activities, as I mentioned, Key Club or sports, and also meet some individuals that I had not known at other schools, middle schools, or elementary schools at that point, because they had 8-year elementary schools at that time. And I got to kindle some lasting relationships that I still keep in touch with to date, and that's always good. I came back after I graduated from college and was active in helping out with the football team and announcing. I did the radio games for the football teams for 10 years, and I've announced the public address announcements at the football games for the last 15 years.
Oh, okay.
So I've stayed very active, and I was the Touchdown Club. I guess at that point it was the Athletic Booster Club. I was president the year that we played for our state championship, the only state championship that we played in football at Union High School, which I definitely remember that.
So talk about that a little bit.
Well, that year is one of those that was just fantastic. We lost, I think, one of our first 2 ball games, and then we lost our very last regular season game, and then we won the several playoff games, and we hosted Warner Robins in the state championship game. And unfortunately, we were defeated, but that team that beat us won the national championship in high school. So, I guess it is something to remember, in the fact that the team that did beat us won the national championship. But I do remember the stadium was packed. We didn't have the stadium, of course, it is now, but the bank was full of people, and the far side, of course, was full, and we had people everywhere. It's probably the record for the number of people that attended a football or any event at Newnan High School. And it's, again, from what I remember, and especially the time that I've been at Newnan High School and afterwards, that we've ever played for a football state championship, and that we played it right here at Drake Stadium.
Very cool. What did you go on to do after high school?
I graduated from college at LaGrange College. I met my wife, Julia, and she's a teacher, and she's been teaching almost 40 years now, a long time. I better not say too much about that, but she's a great teacher. And I have 4 daughters, and all of my daughters have graduated from Union High School as well. But I've been involved in financial services, in banking, in insurance and real estate since the time that I've gotten back into Newnan. And I guess it's kind of unique in the fact that I was only away, I've only been away from Newnan because I was born here, raised here, educated here in high school, elementary school. And for only 4 years I was away at college, and I came back, and I've been here ever since. So I like the atmosphere here, and it's really been good to me.
In your opinion, what makes NHS a special place to go to school?
At the time that I went to school, I can relate to it at that point, it was a very close-knit group. We pretty much knew everybody. It was much smaller than it is now. We didn't have the extended campus that's out there now. And I think we knew everybody, and everybody had to participate because there were so few people. For instance, our football team, in today's times, you know, they have 100 or plus on the football team. Well, we had around 40 to 50 on the football team. So we all had an opportunity to contribute. Well, just like it was in Key Club, we had a fairly small Key Club, so we all took an active role. And when we did things, we all knew those people because a lot of the same people were involved in the same activities. So we were a close-knit group, and I think that's something that you can carry once you leave school. You can keep those relationships as the years go by, and that's what made Newnan High School very special. And the fact that my daughter has graduated from here, and my wife teaches here, and one of my daughters teaches here in history, that's very special because they got a very good quality education, and they participated in sports and cheerleading. And Katie, the daughter that teaches history now, she was homecoming queen. So that's always very special. So it's a lot of fun memories, and it's been a special place, and you know, some things that you always treasure.
Do you recall any historical events occurring while you were in school? For example, 9/11, JFK assassination.
I just remember during the time we had two, I think it was my junior or senior year, we had two Medal of Honor winners that were, I guess, recognized by the President of the United States at one single time. And that was unheard of because we had two from Newnan. I think Colonel Joe Jackson and Stephen Pless. And I think there were only 4 or 5 that year. And we had two from Newnan. So that was very, very significant. I think one was named the Armory after maybe Stephen Pless. And then the Jackson, Joe Jackson, I think the highway leading 34 out toward the interstate is named for him. So I remember that, and that was very, very significant. I think it was just a transition time in the fact that my senior year was the last year of Newnan High School, the last year we were Newnan Tigers instead of Cougars, and they had Central High School and Newnan High School, and the next year the schools combined, and I think it was called Newnan Central High for a while, and that was kind of historic in the fact that there was a transition from just the Newnan High School and Central to Newnan Central High. We changed the colors of the school and the mascot of the school, and that was sort of significant time in the history of Newnan High School. I think in general it was around the time of Richard Nixon presidency, and you know, I think eventually it was a time of a lot of controversy that was going on, the Vietnam War. I think it was ongoing, and I think that was a very historic point because a lot of the people that were going to school, they knew that if they didn't go to college or they didn't have some future aspirations, that they would probably be drafted, because that was when they had the draft. Whereas if you weren't in school or didn't have an obligation, then you could get drafted and you would have to go and serve in the military. And of course they did away with that a few years after I left, but I remember going to get my draft card, and I still have my draft card, but people don't really have to do that. They still have to sign up, but they don't have that requirement that they serve now as they used to. So that was a significant part of history that sort of took place at that point. We just got through with the assassination of JFK, and it was before the Watergate was actually found out, so I was kind of right in the middle of all that was going on.
Do you have any interesting stories that happened while you were at Newnan High School that you'd like to share? Or funny stories?
We just had a lot of, I guess they were mostly sports related activities that we had. I know my senior year, just a kind of unique thing is we had, I believe it was 5 ties. It's back when they tied football games. You know, now they play sudden death. But I think my senior year we had either 4 or 5 ties, and we tied homecoming 0-0. So we were a very strong defensive team. But we had small number of players. I remember that because you know, your homecoming game you remember, and playing on a very small team you remember what kind of goes on there. But we had a really good group that was here of faculty. The faculty was very close, and they took a lot of time with the students. We had, I'm sure, smaller classes than what they have now, and it was really really a good time. I mean, I enjoyed the time that I spent here. I mean, you know, you had to study and you had to pass and you had to take care of your grades. But it's just like right here in the room we're in. This used to be biology lab, I think. And across the way was where I had English, and down the hall was where I had English. So you remember a lot of those things, which I'm sure y'all will probably remember years and years from now. But I remember kind of coming through these particular areas here, and some of those are still here, even though they've expanded the campus. But there were some fun times that we had. You know, I guess I could put my thought into some weird times. The students used to try to commandeer or steal the tiger that was our mascot. You could pull him behind in a little cart, and it was a big cart, kind of square, and it was Willie the Tiger, you know. And sometimes they'd try to commandeer or steal Willie or something like that, but they'd always show back up or whatever. We didn't really have any crosstown robberies like East Coweta. We had robberies like LaGrange, Carrollton. I don't remember playing Griffin, but a lot of the teams were up toward Atlanta that we had to play. And I remember going on the team buses, and we had the yellow school buses, and that's how we went to the games. We did go, I think actually in Greyhound buses some, and that was a treat because, you know, a lot of folks hadn't gone in Greyhound buses. But there were some interesting times. There were interesting times in history that you know, that was a fun time, but it was a time where there was a lot of change going on, both here locally and nationally, and you remember a lot of those things.
Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Okay.